Everyone's gone left there. If we can get that, it would be very nice. Good. But, Tom knows a lot about this kind of thing, but restoration is, hey, don't worry. Good. Restoration is very difficult. Hey, Jim.
Hi, how you doing?
How are you?
Good, good.
That's interesting. Yeah, virtual. You said, did you say Karen was supposed to show up and then?
Karen said she'd be on virtually.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mary Catherine said no.
This is
I think Mary Catherine was.
Mary
Oh,
Catherine,
but you did.
Rob and Brandon all said no.
And what about the new kid? The new
So
guy?
Jason did not reply, and I only asked for replies for not attending, so we can
Got somebody,
hold out hope.
is that anonymous there?
Yeah, we, I mean. If it's Mary Catherine, maybe.
Well, Dennis, congratulations on your new executive director too, new hire. Yeah, always an experiment like this, and so. Yeah. We'll see, Denisha did a great job. We'll see if Joshua can do an equally good job.
Sure.
Got a lot of enthusiasm, so I think that's positive. Is a big part of his task to be boosting membership? We're always trying to boost membership. Yeah, all right. It's not easy. No. People get concerned about commitment. It's the bad word to most people, so. It's difficult. I know. How's Roland? Is he still oh, yeah. Still working around? Oh, absolutely. Three mornings a week. He was retired 1 week. When I found out he was retired in 2000, I think it was. I said, you can't retire. So within a week, he was working with me, so. I used to see him at the post office a lot. He'd walk over and was voting.
I think he gave that.
Did he?
Yeah.
You know what? You're right. I haven't seen him there in a couple of years. Yeah, you're right. Good night.
Have a good meeting. Town council's meeting upstairs.
Yeah, I have to go upstairs after this. But wait, he probably rather stay down here. You're on the agenda upstairs? I know, yeah, I don't know what it is, but we're on the agenda, and Jim again suggested it'd be nice to have somebody there just to keep pushing things along. Cool.
Yeah, tonight, asking the council to authorize town manager to enter into the purchase agreement for the Fontanella property, so that's the action we're requesting.
Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.
So Jim, while we're waiting.
You wanna ask if it's a member, someone?
Yeah, well, who could it be? Jason or
Yeah, Jason or
Is-
Karen?
Probably Karen.
Karen, is that you that's on the line? Or Jason?
This is Melissa. I'm a citizen and I
Oh,
volunteer
okay.
for the, hello Dennis, I recognize your
I
voice.
apologize, sorry. Melissa.
Sorry, we're just waiting for a quorum, so we're checking to
Welcome.
see if somebody had joined from the commission. Thank you.
Jim, if we can't get our quorum, what's your timeline that?
Yeah, I mean, application is due, I think, December 2nd. I mean, we've had obviously several meetings at the town council. We can evaluate, just maybe use that for public participation.
Karen?
That's her.
All right, welcome.
Hi there.
Can you hear us?
Yep.
Cool.
I was gonna
Hi,
say,
Karen.
I think you might have been able to have the public information without,
Yeah,
then we
without-
could have held a public information meeting.
Might be separate from the forum, really.
But that's fine, we have a quorum now.
Oh, excellent. All right, so we'll call, you want me to read that?
No.
Well, we do have,
You can just say welcome.
audience of citizens, as always, since this is a hybrid meeting, please, raise your hand if you are, requesting to speak. And state your name and, who you are, so that, thanks, Maureen, for filling in.
Yep,
Mr. Chairman, my name is Dennis Kern. I live on 57 Ciderman Road in the village of Kensington, town of Berlin. And I'm here
Mr. Kern.
as an officer and president of the Berlin Land Trust. We have been supporting the purchase of the Fontanella piece by the town of Berlin and also the grant application to OSWA for many months now. In fact, we were interested in this parcel a couple of years ago because the parcel really cries out to be preserved. It's attached to other open space, another 400 acres of open space. It has the potential for some hiking, and it overlooks the Chamberlain Highway from a scenic point of view. So it's a very important piece, we think, to be saved. And the Berlin Land Trust has offered the town a grant of $20,000 to help it purchase this property. So that's how significant we think this property is. We've already expended toward that grant about $4,300 to help the town pay for the upfront appraisal costs that are encountered when you go through an OSWA grant. So we're not only supporting it in theory, we're actually putting some money toward it. We feel that this is a very important piece to preserve, and we would ask the Conservation Commission to support the purchase as well by the town. Thank you, Mr. Kern. So you kind of took some of what I'm supposed to say for the public portion of the meeting, which is good. So with the encouragement of the Berlin Land Trust, the town is pursuing the acquisition of the property known as the Fontanella, or also known as the Fontanella. 15.74 acres. It's approximately, yeah, adjacent to the existing Blue Hills Conservation Area. West of the south end of Summerwood. We just have a map up there. This is the public portion of the meeting. I know you have to go upstairs. Jim, you have to go upstairs too, right?
Yes,
Okay, so here, yep. Can you all see the screen there? Okay, we're sharing the screen?
we are sharing the screen.
Okay. Do we have any? If Melissa's here, maybe she'd like to say something too. That's Melissa there on the line, okay.
I
Yes.
would, okay. Hello,
Great.
my name is Melissa Davis. I live at 53 West Street Terrace in Berlin, and I volunteer for the Berlin Land Trust. And what Dennis has told us about this property really makes me think that we should preserve this land. My husband and I went to the cul-de-sac on Summitwood Drive to look at this property. It is stunningly beautiful. And wildlife habitat is very, very important to both of us. And this looks like a wonderful piece of habitat for native plants, native trees, and all kinds of wildlife. And especially since it is contiguous with other pieces of preserved land, I think that would be especially beneficial to wildlife. So I would very much like to see this preserved. And I think the Land Trust has been very generous in offering $20,000 toward the purchase of this property, because the Land Trust is a small organization. So that is a big amount of money for us. But we really believe that this property should be saved. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Melissa, did you get Melissa's last name, sir?
I believe so. And I can listen to it on the recording. Anything we don't get, we can
Thank
we
you.
can re-listen to.
That was very well put. So at the previous meeting also, this was discussed, and just wanted to reiterate, Commissioner Lewis added that it was a priceless trap rock ridgeline, and it's the right thing to do for future generations. And it's amazing as you drive down the Chamberlain Highway and you look to the left, it just stands out. The whole ridge just stands out, and it's it's just something from the distance to behold. And as Melissa said, to walk it, to experience it that way is a treasure as well. So it should be saved.
Absolutely. So it sounds like another collaboration and partnership with the land trust, and hopefully we get the state to kick in. And I like that kind of, that's always points for grant applications too, is having different organizations.
So hopefully it's gonna be a three-part deal. State, the town, and the land trust.
Collaboration, that's good. So, are there any other questions?
No, I'm just thinking that and what's being asked is for us to
I think
lend our support. Is it specifically for
yes,
the
for-
grant or for the purchase?
So this meeting is, you did lend your support at the last meeting,
Yeah.
that was done. However, as part of the grant application, we, a public comment and information session
Okay.
is suggested as part of that.
Okay.
Maybe required, Jim can speak to that,
Yeah.
but it's part of having the public information. So this was really, that's why it was listed at the top of the agenda before you get into really the commission business. This is the public information session related to
Mhm.
the grant.
Jim, do you need another motion
No, I think, if you've already endorsed it. Michael, I think I sent you a draft letter of
Yes.
support, so you can consider that. So I don't think you need another motion. To add on to the other speakers, the only other things I would say are, one, that we do plan on doing a short loop trail here to provide public access to the parcel. The Metacomet Trail used to go through just about the eastern edge of the parcel along Summitwood. When this last year, the Metacomet Trail was relocated by CFPA so that we got it out of the front yards of some of those houses on Summitwood. And but what we would do is pick up part of the old Metacomet and create a little loop along the scenic ridge line. And it may not be that active a trail, but I think it'd be a pleasant place to take a walk and a little nice side trip off the main Metacomet Trail. We don't plan on any changes with parking. There is on-street parking at the end of Summitwood, except in the cul-de-sac. So that's basically the plan.
Yeah, I'm sorry, this particular map is choosing not to load. I reopened it a couple of times, it's just not opening, but this is Summitwood here, if all the layers, if
Yes.
the app is opening in its entirety, Summitwood comes up here, and there's the parking area that's there. And at the last meeting, we discussed that, this is the parcel with net adjacent to that, and the Metacomet Trail was relocated off the road. That's where it was on the road, when it was on the road.
and 221?
Right. And we're not proposing the parking at this time. The question was asked, can we potentially do
Oh,
off-street
potential,
parking?
right.
We could at the end of the cul-de-sac, but we're not proposing that, just using on-street parking.
And if we look at this map, it's where we discussed at the end so this is the Chamberlain Highway. And there's the easement through this parcel that has the parking area, the bridge crossing to get up to the trails. And,
But that's still to be figured out.
well, that's there, and the new owners
Yeah.
know it's there, and the gate's
Yeah.
been open and they're aware, and it
Plus
may.
new cell though.
Hopefully it will, this is a really nice access point and visible parking that Mr. Grimm put on his property in anticipation of the trail being moved to go along here through his property, but that hasn't been completed, so that's this is still the main access, and either way, it would be using the same bridge that's down here somewhere in this area. I think it's right about here. I'm not positive. It's been a while since I've been out there.
Okay. Good. Yeah, Jim, I'll get that letter for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Always. Appreciate it. Good luck upstairs.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Dennis, good to see you. Thank you.
It's always a pleasure. You guys,
Thanks for your
Very-
support all the time.
you guys are very important to the town in terms of preservation, conservation easement, the Conservation Commission. That really leads the way when it comes to environmental protection.
Well,
We're appreciative.
we feel the same way about the land trust too, so.
Well, we work together, well, hopefully more often than not.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very
All right.
much.
Take care.
Bye, Karen.
Yeah, just to say, I think we'll all be talking about Lamentation Mountain at some future meeting, but that's
Yes,
uh
yes, I'm sure.
Yeah,
unfolding story there.
okay.
Bye.
Thank you, Melissa.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Thank you,
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So, approval of the minutes.
So, while we're at this point, I'm just gonna do to make it official as to who's here. Michael D. Lorenzo, Chairman,
Present.
Tom Heisler,
Present.
Guy Hoffman,
Present.
Karen Pagliaro,
Muted.
present remote and muted. You're muted, Karen.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I had downsized it because I was looking at the minutes and that's why I couldn't get it off mute, but I am present.
Okay, and then Carl Lewis, Mary Catherine LaRose, Robert Ramsey, and Brandon Pete all asked to be excused. And Jason Pelletier is the newer alternate that is also not present.
Oh, Tom, you weren't here last week, either, last month, either, so. Guy and Karen, if you have any comments on the minutes. Over the minute, and I could, well, we could make a comment if we see something like you said, right?
Yeah, if you wanna put them off, put them off. It's
Nope,
6
I
to 1,
haven't
half
found
dozen.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
I didn't either.
Right.
Okay.
That's good.
Apparently, so we are in search mode for a new recording secretary. Also,
Yeah, I found out today that the recording secretary has found she has too many conflicts
Oh,
and won't be able to continue, so.
oh, that's good.
But you did a great job on these minutes.
I was gonna say.
So
a lot of minutes, huh?
that was a big meeting to do the minutes of
Yeah, I
and
can see that.
yeah.
Oh,
Do you need a motion for the minutes?
We do.
I move that the minutes are accepted from the October meeting.
wait a second.
All in favor, accepting the minutes as written?
Aye.
So, aye. So moved, it was unanimous.
There you go.
Okay, so. Public information session, all right, really only got one big thing here, so, let's go, the garden.
So the garden closed, successful season from what I can
Yeah.
tell. Steve Wood reported that it was well cleaned up and looks good and most gardeners had cleared their spots ahead of the closing, of the locking of the gate, so he was really pleased with that. They continued, through the fall to deal with trying to get more pollinators in and that kind of thing, and my success, I think, really, it's like the shining star in our office is that it's running smoothly without a lot of interruptions to the staff. It's back to the point it was a number of years ago where it was basically
Managing.
self-managing, yes, so that's really nice.
Well, Carol does a good job too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she's a very avid gardener as well, very interested, and, you know, where we've had other volunteers, you know, like Karen and others that were doing, that as well, but then just had trouble getting somebody to be that coordinator for
Yeah.
a couple of
Yeah.
years.
Makes a
Um,
big difference.
and
I mean,
now
it was
it-
a big workload for you, Karen, you know, anybody that.
It's just.
It really was a big workload for me. I won't share, but it was.
Yeah, so,
The garlic wars.
so it really helps out the commission because
Yeah, no,
it's a, you know, the members' time on their own, and we ended up spending a lot of time sometimes on,
Yes.
on
it's kind of like.
basic kind of
On
things,
issues
yeah,
within the garden.
within the garden, so.
I do think that the generosity of both the time, the research, and then the funds being dedicated to the solar pump
Well,
has been tremendous
yeah,
as
big-
well.
big time.
And the ability to manage that without having to have every the little thing that comes up, have to go wait a month.
And have
And then wait
Steve
for
on staff,
orders,
yeah.
and yeah, and Steve is an amazing individual, so.
So good, so.
So that's
hopefully
that.
Spring will be here soon. So that'll
Uh-huh.
be good, right? Well, maybe just roll right in. Thank you. Trail updates,
We really don't
Signage,
have
we-
much, we still are,
we got that
working
for-
to put on some of the signage. Waiting for some corrected stickers, and then that should be coming along. Steve and I are both working on that.
and we had a little bit of a brief discussion about the easement markers or the
Yeah, I think what, if it's, trying to figure out, and maybe some members have an idea, but trying to, when we find an encroachment, last month, the commission certainly sounded as though the was not leaning to have the commission suddenly go in and put up markers in people's established yards. However, when that, you know, that is a debatable when people have encroached. And we might be revisiting it again as we figure out what kind of markers are appropriate in the easements that have either come down over time because the developments were established a number of years ago with the easement markers. Certainly any new development has the more substantial signs that are supposed to be put in on a minimum of 4x4 post. Some of them have actually put in rock wall kind of monuments to stick out of the ground. They're more permanent, they're harder to move with a plaque on them. So the newer ones are hopefully less of an issue, although we had some encroachments on a couple of those that don't have the markers on them yet. So we're just gonna have to figure out a way to sign properties and establish those easements back again where we've had encroachments.
well, it's always easier to do it at the time of the development, like.
But then they disappear.
Well, depends how permanent, you know,
Right.
they gotta make it difficult for them, yeah. And we have to map it. That's another thing.
Mhm.
All right. Thank you.
We did get a lead on potential interns, so I'm gonna be looking into that. It may be a tough to win the intern. But you know, I have a lead that I heard about at the conference last week, so
Oh, that'd be great. Very good. Okay. Well, maybe it doesn't, or maybe Ashley, I mean, she came out of Quinnipiac or one of those schools.
Alexa, probably Alexa, maybe. Ashley's the administrator. Alexa is our
Okay, I know they're
assistant
both
planner.
areas.
We are busy. We have the day-to-day business that's very busy. It's really the extra the extra staff person we need, or,
No, I
some
didn't
of the
mean it that way.
research.
I meant if.
Oh,
if
some
someone-
connections.
Yeah, connection back to the
Connections.
career office or something. All right, thanks.
I'm gonna hop. Have a good evening, guys.
Same to you, Jim. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Take care.
Cheers,
Thank you.
Jen.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, I think encroachments is gonna be one of those ongoing issues for. Time.
Yeah, so we're just moving forward with the same ones that we've been working on, and, you know, that was, but I left it on in case there was some
Yeah.
input somebody
I think
had.
That's what I meant. It's a
I
thing that's
think-
gonna stay there for a while.
And I think, I'm actually, when I wrote the agenda, I thought it was a good thing to keep on the agenda as if somebody's looking at our agenda, they know that the commission is aware and observant and discusses such things. And I think it's kind of a public notice of things that are discussed at commission meetings, and
Thank you. It's a good idea.
One in particular got discussed.
Well, and I'm assuming that the town has the ability with existing staff to reestablish those lines.
yes, yes. But there was discussion at the last meeting not to have them put up markers. And so that was, I got mixed messages
Well,
through that, and
not
plan
put it
to
up on
listen,
Somebody's
and
lawn.
plan
but
to
it-
Well, the
listen
lines
to the
should be there in
tapes.
First before.
Right.
This is a good point. I guess there was a little bit of between something that's up against our open space as compared to in a development with just, you know, a conservation easement, which one do, you know, is
Well-
there a difference between those as far as markers or not?
No, because we're talking about encroachment, so
Yeah.
either way, they're not supposed to encroach, right?
They really shouldn't, right?
Right, so.
But I don't think, I don't know, you could correct me, I don't think with what we saw last month. In an aerial photo, has the town done anything on that?
Yes.
The neighbor?
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I'm not sure. I think that an action was started on the neighbor as well. Well, it was, I believe actually the whole thing was sent to the association. So we got
Okay,
a response from from the gentleman who came to the meeting. I don't know that we got a response on any of the other encroachments, but chip away at what we can as we can.
That it, maybe there should be.
An entire area at once.
And the association kind of,
So that
But
is who we
rather
have to
than-
notice.
rather than.
If it's an association's unit, the difference is some of the areas are within the unit of the residents. It includes the land area around their unit. And in other developments, it's conservation area that surrounds the
Yeah.
unit that's owned by the homeowners association. So there's these two things, and then we have the outright dedicated to the town or the land trust.
Yeah.
And, or, where it's subdivision, where they have a lot that then is wrapped by conservation area, and that's one of the other encroachment problems we have, is one that is a new development. And the owner that hasn't built on the property yet already encroached through,
Mhm,
and we have a different set of legal parameters where we deal with each of them.
Yeah.
Each one of these, or at least most of them, sometimes we can deal by just contacting who it's clear encroached. They pull their chairs and their whatever's out of the woods and let it regrow, and it's easy. Then there's the others, and most of the ones that I've brought to you have been ones that we've got our council involved with, and gone along with the direction that we've needed from Corporation Council.
Yeah, I'm sure that development there, that neighbor opened up big bee's nest for the.
Well, yeah,
What development are you speaking?
that, the one that we had last,
The Walden Court.
Oh, that's right. Either.
Yeah.
it's off of Middletown.
Yes, that
Road.
first side street off
Uh,
Middletown Road, which is Walden Court
Okay.
on the east side of the Berlin Turnpike.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
So
almost-
basically,
almost what you notice it.
there's the conservation easement. It's not all the way around, but most.
It
of the-
wraps
mo- it
substantially
kinda
around it.
wraps
It
around.
doesn't come back out to meet the road completely, but it goes around almost every unit,
And it actually takes up a fair amount of,
their backyards.
yeah, their backyards, and some of them are really pretty small.
Yeah.
But, you know, once again, we talked about it that last week, last month, that it's, there was a benefit to the builder in doing it this way. So it's like, okay, you're a second owner or a third owner in the development.
Yeah, that's what I
It's
said.
not a great kind of, we.
And
we
presumably,
Don't own as much or can't control as much as what we thought, but
Yeah,
should be
Yes.
reflected in their
Yeah.
valuation as well, and their,
yeah.
yeah,
and all that, so it's not something that stops with the developer, it is
Yeah.
handed down,
in
you know.
fact, when they're at their closings, it should be like, okay,
Yeah.
here's this line here.
And we do currently on the final as-bills, years ago, we didn't get final as-bills on properties, it was a plot plan. Where are your structures?
Yeah.
Where is your property line? Now we seek to get a plot plan that shows all improvements and encumbrances if they affect the property. So easements should, whether it's a sewer easement that goes through the property, drainage, whatever, or a conservation easement that goes through the limits of the property. Besides just being on and not just, but besides being on the site plan or subdivision plan itself. We ask that all relevant notes and encumbrances be transferred to the individual lots that if they pertain to them, And so it is easier for somebody to see them now, but that doesn't mean some of the older ones don't. Somebody comes in, they look at the plot plan, they don't even know it's there.
I just have. I think I know what the answer is gonna be, but out of the town. Open space properties,
Mhm.
is there some kind of number that you would have for percent of borders that are actually marked? You think?
Oh, I don't think we could even.
I
presume.
mean, is that something that's like 5% probably, or, yeah,
I mean, that's all kind of related to.
Well, if you think, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Kind of related to mapping everything that we're talking
Yeah.
about, which doesn't exist either, so only the newest developments might be, but.
And I'm sorry, Karen, I don't have this to pull up online easily, but I have, one of our open space maps.
yeah.
And if you think about the fact that you have
Oh, yeah,
open
yeah.
space at Bicentennial Park, for instance.
Yeah.
How many hundreds of houses border it? So marking each
Yeah.
corner point, each property corner all along would be impossible. It really would be overwhelming to do something, and it may actually deter from the area every, 100 feet, we have another sign. I mean, could it be done? Probably, maybe the state, when I was a little kid, Dad worked for DEP, and, there were the boundary of state property signs that, he had a stack of in his car, cause they were getting put up, but again, it's, I guess. It would be an undertaking, let me put
Oh,
it
yeah,
that way,
yeah,
to
that's what-
do
that's what-
every parcel. Because it would be, by regulation, where it would be at each corner point. Now, we have those signs put up at easements, not at the
Yeah.
property line, because somebody should know where the property line is, and they shouldn't be
Right.
trespassing with their personal stuff and personal use into town property, so, you know, not along there, but where the easements are, again, we'd have to.
Yeah.
And again, that's part of that mapping project, the lofty project of mapping all the easements, and then I do think that would be the second phase of that project. Is again reestablishing some type of sign, you know, the town at one time had small signs that were said
Mhm.
conservation area or conservation easement. They were
Yeah.
not long lasting and they were easily put in a pocket. Let's put ripped off and put in a pocket. Yeah, the little yellow ones.
Yeah.
I still have,
Yeah.
but that's because I used to have to replace them a lot.
Yeah, and that's what we had for evidently for a while, but they were evidently getting.
Yeah.
Regularly in need of replacement because they weren't as substantial as the 4x4 posts
Right,
with the
that's what I
signs
thought.
Yeah.
that are now what's required in the subdivision regulations. But again, those are on easements,
Right, and those are.
which are within somebody's private property, so that is where they would be getting put, or on the border of a development if it was.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't
here.
remember seeing an open space development in a long time.
Well,
Usually it's fees and, but that's what.
no, actually, the last bunch we have gotten
Yeah.
open space, so Honeyman's on High Road, we got open
Yeah, but
space,
they should
again,
be-
that's regular.
They should be putting.
A regular
They should be
subdivision,
putting monuments on those things too.
he has markers at the corners of his lots, he'll be putting those in, he did put them for the first couple of lots. Wickland on West Lane,
Okay.
now he has easements through the back, many of those properties have easements onto the property. And those again, there was one, and I think I mentioned it at another meeting where it was there, I took pictures of it. Good, house A got a CO. I went to do the CO inspection year later, at least, for the lot next door, or two over. I'm going, where's the sign? It was there were signs on each corner of that lot, and then they were not there, not very, you know, not long enough for them to have fallen down by rusty nails falling apart. And so that's all I have to say.
Yeah.
On
It's
that.
the same. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
It's enough easements. Got it, P O C D implementation plan.
So I did for the good of those present, and again, sorry, Karen, but had Ashley copy the page that talks about the implementation summary. And then the pages that relate to natural resources and goals. So
Mhm.
just those green pages so
Yeah,
that
environmental.
those here could enjoy those if
You have that document electronically?
not, this is the P O C D. These are the pages out of the
Okay,
P O C D itself, which is online. If you want to pull it off the website, Karen, that's feasible. I might be able to do it here as well and share it. But I thought that would just be helpful because everybody, I doubted, carried around
So
the
tonight.
sheets they'd gotten months and months ago.
Prioritizing some of the actions that were assigned to the Conservation Commission, right?
Yeah, and I guess. Be a little tougher to do and probably, not one, but, you know, potentially. Something that should fall, if there was something that you thought. We should be part of, and we were excluded from, I guess, we could do that too, but, I'm not, let's do one.
We don't wanna go forward backwards now, do we?
No, so, just in general, the next meeting coming up after New Year's. Is gonna include environmental resource goals. And our commission has, there are 9 strategies in that set, for that goal. And we're part of 6 of those, 27 different individual items, so it's a large chunk which you would expect us to be in on that. But we also have been identified as part of development goals, facilities and services and cultural resources. But I think the core responsibilities, are for us and things that are part of what we already do and would have the most interest in are, in the environmental resource goals and primarily in strategies 2 and 8. And 2 is to prioritize the protection and acquisition of open space and improve linkages between existing open space properties.
Can I have you hold on 1 second? Karen, are you seeing my screen? Okay, just making sure it was being shared. Thank you. I'm
And
sorry.
and then number 8 is expand and improve the town's trail system to better connect open space properties and connect Berlin to the trail network and surrounding towns and improve access to and promotion of the trail system. So those are the bigger things, and then there's items in each of those. And that, at that point, is where they identify the lead and the partners. And what the priority level is. And most of our stuff that we're identified in this in this general goal are high. There are some that are less than that, but most of them are all listed as high. And I think when I asked for feedback, when we first started in on this, that most people, seem to think that that's still. There weren't too many things that we disagreed with as far as them being high priorities.
Okay.
What I'd like to do, with this coming up as part of the P O C D, in the next meeting, is to highlight some of the things that we think are the biggest items on here. And probably, ones that, we think are most important. And then, and I would think some of those we're already involved with, and maybe have a short wish list or comments on some other things that maybe we'd like to see highlighted that might not be as either as much of our current responsibilities or things that we'd like to see the town be able to do. Maybe some of that has to do with town staffing and things like that to help support that, to be able to provide some additional information or, things like that for us. So, strategy 2 is that first one that we have things identified in, and there are 8 items. And the first ones are primarily, the lead is the town council, because we don't really have a lot of say with some of the wording with those. I think the ones that I kind of took I don't know, got my attention were number 3 about the update inventory of potential open space linkages that we could provide through the acquisition of land or development of greenway networks and stuff on public and private properties. That would, I think we've always kind of talked about that. We've been involved with some of that when we reviewed properties for the town. Do they provide a linkage or,
Well, that's always been valued higher anyway.
Yeah,
Than
and
another
I-
property
and,
without linkage.
so I think that, I think there's some things, that the commission could get involved with. As far as inventory, or if we, and we've had you know, with Maureen and Jim, we had, you know, a lot of town support. Certainly getting additional mapping and stuff that, I think that that's a kind of a priority for us. You know, for the town staff, because there are other things that we could do. If we had, the information in front of us,
Yeah.
and we could do a little bit of planning or suggesting, you know, for places. I know that you have to be kind of identifying private properties in a town plan or something like that, but, it certainly could help highlight areas in town where certain things could be possible. And then part of that, like, because they also include like review, open space areas that do not have conservation easements, and recommend additional protections for all or parts of these properties. I mean, we don't have a listing of those kind of things anyway, so. I think that could be something that. And we're listed as the lead on that, but, you know, we can't generate that stuff ourselves.
What number was that? I'm sorry.
That one is number 7.
Thank you.
I would probably put that down to medium or lower, because we just don't have the, like you said, we don't have the
Yeah.
information.
And we can't really pursue grants, you know, in that way.
Right.
The town is the lead on that, but.
And the same thing with number 3, even though town council has the lead, that's, we can't identify anything by it.
Can I just go back to the, review the open space, that do not have, I'm sorry, yeah, never mind. Addition, I misread it.
I think with strategy 4, we have 2 things listed on that, but the first one doesn't include us. But that's an important one.
I'm sorry, tell me
To the-
which one
to-
now?
For strategy 4, number 1, about adequate staffing and assigning a town staff member is, you know, point for environmental issues and, you know.
Yeah, it's another wish list item that we
It's
talked about for a long time. Yeah.
It's a wish list kind of thing, but it does. Somewhere in this for the meeting, I wanna be able to point
Emphasize
out
it.
that, you know, there are many places on here where we're identified as potentially being able to do something, but. You know. it
Without an
really
environmental
Yeah.
planner or something.
something like that.
Yeah.
Or, you know, the additional support for mapping, or, you know, like you said, conservation areas and who's got them, who does, you know.
Mhm.
We can't really,
We don't know.
we can't do those things.
That's right.
And I think that, you know, we could be spending some of our time doing that kind of stuff. Maybe not every meeting, but, you know, it's like each year generate, you know, reviews on some of these kind of things. If we had the, list
Staff
in front of us,
yeah.
yeah. And
Even
staff.
administrative help, even
Yeah,
if it was. I will say, you know, I think one of our dreams within the administration of the office is that now that we have one more planner. Of course, we have one less administrative, you know, I don't have my part-time administrator right now or clerk. We have that opening. We haven't pursued having somebody to fill it or getting her the reactivated, getting it filled again. It is on the list, but hopefully our office operations will streamline as we move into next year. You know, we've kind of seen a more even development proposals coming through last year, you know, 3 830G applications, that could wipe you out right there. Big housing developments we've seen, you know, we're seeing right now, I don't want to speak too soon, but you know, a trend of things moderating back to the size agendas that the commission used to have, the Planning and Zoning Commission, which then trickles down to the other commissions, and Zoning Board of Appeals has continued to have a robust agenda where, you know, there's some years where you're canceling half the different commissions meetings and because there's not enough or there's not business for them. And that has not been the case for a number of years now. But this is a 10-year plan. So hopefully as development and all those things
I'm sorry, but I can't hear anything.
Yeah, I think strategy 4, number 3 could be reversed too.
Error on mine.
Yeah, council should be.
Hi Karen, we're back. Can you hear us? I'm so sorry for that. I forgot to plug in my computer, so it died. Happened to me more often than I want to admit.
So mine went, my
Parks and
battery
Grounds
went
or,
too, so I get it totally.
Public Works.
Where's that one?
Oh, yeah, PDD.
PW is Public Works.
What's PDD?
I think it's Public Grounds.
Yeah, it's Steve Wood.
Sustainable practices, yeah. Pervious pavements, rainwater use, yeah, that's for sure, public grounds. And it's on the pages I copied, I did copy the second or the third page. Does have, I put the
Oh,
cheat
yeah,
sheet
with the-
in it, cause I thought,
Oh.
yeah, that's gonna be a problem. There's a lot of initials in this document. Uh-oh. I lost that round, that.
Strategy 6, number 1.
She's on my screen. I lost you on the big screen, so I'll get that in a second. Hopefully.
You know, and we almost have to, on this, decide what we think should be our primarily goals with this, because,
That is actually one of the things I was thinking was something, and we kind of talked about it at the P O C D implementation meeting. For each commission to look over your goals and look, assign to you
yeah,
what, because. You can do that next step of course it's high, saving the environment, like, that's high, but. How to achieve the goals within the goals in a doable manner for each board, commission and department is something that they also have to figure out. Now, that then leads back to going back to the P O C D implementation committee and at some point, I don't mean it has to be at every meeting or at any given time, but as we work through this process over the 10 years of the implementation, make sure that every other board in town doesn't go, oh, no, that's not what you're supposed to be doing first, including the town council. This is a committee, the implementation is put together by planning and zoning commission with the support of the town council for the implementation of it, so. I think that is realistic and expected. It's a living document. Remember
Yeah.
that. Everybody needs to remember it's a living document and things change.
And also for the commissions and boards that are advisory only, of which there are a number, including
Mhm.
us,
Right.
it's a lot more challenging to do something, implement something, because staff is already, got their hands full and, and we don't have staff per se. So guy number 8,
yeah.
Strategy 8 or number 8 within the
strategy 8, I think, didn't we already do the Wigwam Road right of way?
Yeah,
Or,
Yeah.
wait a minute, yes, number 3, and then also we did number 6. The Summerwood Drive trail was relocated. I think those.
you said, which one, the first one?
Number 3.
3, okay.
That's
3
the
and-
one that
3
Carl
and
did, I
6,
think,
yeah.
right? And
Yep.
3 and 6.
Now, my thoughts on these are the same kind of thing, is that they have us as the primary. But it's really a town staff.
And we know that.
Kind of thing.
Jim and I were
and
integral in
I'm gonna
writing this.
mention that, I mean, that Jim is really, I mean,
Invaluable.
and he's the one that can get these things done where we can't. So our role in this tends to be supportive. Look at it, what do you think, like tweak, have some opinions on it, some feedback. And like tonight, like support for what we're looking at. And I think almost all these things, I'd have to read them through again, but I think almost all these, if not all, are really things that we can't do on our own. Or they're not really our job, in a sense. It's like they're coming from the town
Right.
right now through Jim,
I think some of them,
but we can.
for instance, let's talk about, the relocation of the trail off of Summitwood.
Mhm.
That really is a communication with
Yeah.
CFPA, who actually is the one doing the work rather than town staff.
Right.
And Carl, as a member of the commission, has also been that liaison. So
Right,
lots
right.
of
There's
times the
been-
commission does have very valuable liaisons
Mhm.
that are communicators or can go meet somebody, at an odd time that maybe staff wouldn't be able to anyway.
Oh, yeah, and I think
Or
that that's-
something
yes,
else. So I really,
But,
wanna encourage you not to diminish the roles you actually do play as commission members. And as people who can facilitate getting the items accomplished or proceeding with goals, or
Right.
even giving direction to what to do, so.
Right.
When we worked on relocating, the access from Benrup's property that we were looking at earlier at the bottom of the hill on Chamberlain Highway over to Mr. Grimm's property, which at the time were all Benrup's property and now none
Yeah.
of them are, but, you know, Carl and another member of the commission at that time, and I had just started working with you guys, so I don't recall who it was. I probably didn't know the name, the face and the
Yeah.
name at the time. I'm kind of feeling like it might have been Rob. But, went out, walked it, talked about utilizing it. As far as paperwork goes, you know, we could then facilitate that as staff and getting it on a town council item and things like that. But the idea and the work to get it done was really, the feasibility of it was really from this commission, and I wanna,
But,
you know,
but,
not
you know, like you
diminish
said,
it.
relocate the medic contract, you know, I mean, we
Yeah,
can't really.
yeah, we need a partner there, but yeah,
Yeah,
I
and,
totally agree with what you're saying, Guy.
yeah, and I agree with
Yes.
Maureen's point, that, and that's where I have it, like, whether it's support, it's opinion, it's going out and,
Right.
and,
Support, support.
you know, like, taking a look out on the trails or in the field, you know, for these kind of proposals. But you can't, but in the end, we know that we're not the ones that can make some of these things happen.
Right.
We can certainly help it happen,
Try to promote it, yeah.
but it's like, you know, I mean, just an example from tonight with that grant that they're looking for and everything. That, Jim said, well, we'll put a short trail through there. I mean, that's decided at the town level. As part of a grant. It's not,
Yeah,
it's not like, oh, what should we do with the property ahead of time? We kind of get it after the fact. And then might have said, you know, but really, Jim's got the, you know, the power and the expertise to be doing what he's doing. I'm not complaining about
no,
that,
the experience.
but that's kind of the way that it works, you know, and then.
Right.
With the access off of Spruce Brook Road, I mean. We can try what we want, but we're not, you know,
Right, that could probably be taken off.
our opinion doesn't stop the rocks from going up and closing off the parking area either.
But sometimes it may prompt, and I think that's where the commission, has the, you know, it's so important that the commission, embrace the role of trying to get things done. For instance, if we were looking at that parcel and it was this staff that's not as familiar with all the trails as, Jim is.
Mhm.
The commission, the Conservation Commission suggesting, well, the trail's right there.
Yeah.
Let's do, if we can get people to be able to see the vista off that, you know, and make a loop trail there that's the kind of place we put a
Yeah.
loop trail. Can we invest, and one of us hiked it and, you know, the terrain looks
yeah. And-
feasible, then really you have done it.
Yeah.
We, you know, then that really is the Conservation Commission
Right.
prompting it.
Yeah,
The feasibility, the idea, you know,
Yeah.
we're looking at a parcel.
yeah. And there's a-
And certainly I would like to think as a resident of the state, that when the state is evaluating the grants, proposals, they are
Yeah,
reading the
absolutely.
statements and reading Carl's motion on that. I purposely went back and
Yeah.
quoted him straight from the tape.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
and-
that I could put that, send it to Jim and have that quote used for both town council and for the public meeting for, you know,
Yeah.
and for the grant, so that it was highlighted, and I think that that's really important, because if you don't have the entity in town as a driver for conservation, then the state's like, oh, do they
Yeah.
care? No, well, this town, look at what they're, you know.
But
Yeah,
yeah, and I
and-
think it's important and I don't wanna downplay it, and I wanna, at the next meeting, provide that kind of stuff, that it's the experience and expertise in certain areas that, that we do play an important role in things. It's just that, sometimes it's just the legal kind of stuff
Right.
we can't control it all. And as an advisory, we do our best to advise and push people in the right direction. What we think is the right direction. So, I don't know if this totally captures all of our expertise and all of what we can, or what we do or could be doing. Looking forward, because this is supposed to be like a forward-looking kind of document. I know that reviewing open space parcels has not really that's taken a back seat. In our time on the commission, so, that.
Did you
sometimes-
used to do more? Could you
Yeah.
explain what you did about, like, a little? I
Yeah.
don't wanna take up your
I mean,
time, maybe we can have
that
a separate
as
conversation.
there were grants coming up and the state started, we actually were given, kind of sworn to secrecy, but we were given certain parcels
Oh, to look at.
to look at and report on them and give the town like, yeah, I think this is,
Right.
like if you're gonna put your money, if everything is equal,
Right,
this is our
A
highest rated
priority, yeah,
property, here's our next one. This other one, not seeing like, it doesn't come close to what, the others have and stuff. And then town council got kind of. I don't know,
due to the processes have changed a little.
right,
Like,
yeah, but
that's
that's,
just-
but they
town
were
council
kind of,
changed.
but
In the processes.
afraid that before. That they're about not sending us out before there's a deal done.
Hmm.
So we don't really get a chance to,
Right, it disrupts real estate negotiations.
yeah. Cause we never.
That is
looked
a
at it.
fine line, and it is
Yeah.
something that has always been, I mean, that occurs, that's across the board in
Long time ago.
all
It was a long time
communities.
ago, but you know what?
All
That was at the
communities.
beginning when the town was very aggressive.
And you look at a lot of those that came through out of that process, and they're the core group of, Hatchery Brook and.
And we also, there was a period of time when the council they bonded money without having a property in mind, but they bonded to
Yeah.
to have
Yeah,
a bank ready. But times change, so.
yeah,
Where
Yeah, we are getting, well, certainly we have less subdivisions,
there's less
but
property.
that
Yeah.
is then,
yeah,
then,
yeah,
and we did for a while get more fees in lieu of open space than open space. Now, the ones I've seen are providing property. As opposed to open space, which sometimes is good, but it may not be those targeted areas that you might have if you have a big bank
Not
wall.
anymore, this one's Fontanella Properties, is a nice one.
Yes,
It's been a long time since you had any.
Yeah.
Contiguous
But-
stuff, but.
but I think, it's. I guess at this point, I'm not sure which ones we say are the highest priority, other than those. First ones that really fit. With what we've been doing and what we should be doing. I think in a sense that we could be doing some groundwork. If we had access to additional data. That we could be looking at. Linkages, we could be looking at, places where that we should have easements or, you know, conservation easements. I think the other thing that I might be mentioned in here, I think it a little bit, but, that it's access to the open space is something that is a big priority, I think, for us.
Yeah, oh,
And some of that is the information, you know, we can't control. What's up online, we can help write stuff for it and stuff.
That
but,
would be helpful,
you know, and
actually,
but I
if,
think that,
if there's identified,
yeah,
things that people for access are accustomed to seeing. Accustomed to seeing and or information that the town, that as part of the commission and users, you realize is available and not there.
yeah,
We can try to work it into the workload to update it is extremely difficult if, I don't know, you know, anyone's work. But to keep a website going and up to date,
Yeah.
because, you know, you don't go to your own website.
Yeah.
Who goes on their own website? You don't notice that something in some of the offices, you know, do have a person who checks the website for updates on a regular basis and, you know, makes those updates, you know, certainly the town clerk's office has to. It's their, you know, it's one of their charges, but, you know, the rest of the departments kind of have a layout page and it's not under constant
think-
review, but it should be, but sometimes we need the reminder in the ear to, hey, this would be better if, and that even goes to putting the QR codes on the signs.
yeah,
Like, what a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
But like, you know,
gotta be back
I'll
in.
diss myself. I wouldn't have known it was a thing, you know. I like to hike, but I usually go with somebody that's more experienced and yeah, they're doing that. I'm along for the ride. So I think that's,
so I think, you know, and we've been important as far as signage. You know, along those lines, just in having helping to come up with a standard kind of. Look to the signs and information that's out and everything that, you know, that's been a big thing. I think that.
Yep.
Continue to do that. I still think that parking is something that we have to figure out how to overcome some obstacles with that, because we haven't been very successful
I know.
in getting additional parking at some of our open space properties.
It's always been the second half of the equation that.
Yeah.
that put together.
You
Yeah,
know,
and
it's nice to have and we need that, the signage and everything is all real important. And
yeah.
I think the online stuff, I think, you know, maybe we should every year or something say. What is out of date and maybe whatever it is, a couple of open space properties. What do we need for new mapping or, you know, information online and work with the town staff to just
Keep it
put
fresh.
together some things that need to be refreshed, be revised
Yeah,
and keep that going.
yep, that is.
So I think that those kind of things are a priority for us to do what I look at as our one of our main responsibilities. You know, the advocates and for the open space.
I agree. Well, it's all important, but
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything else in here that you look at that say, make sure to highlight, you know. The other one that's eluded us some, and I think does for other towns and stuff too. Is the forestry. And that's not a high priority.
Yeah.
There's a part of, like, if you have all the open space properties, it's kind of nice to know what kind of forest you're dealing with, or if it's not a forest, what kind of invasives do you have? What do you do about them?
That's another.
But that's a big project.
Yeah, it is. You're right, on every town.
Yeah, I think people struggle with that, and the state, I think, is struggling to help. They have a hard enough time, I think now, staffing wise, to manage their own state properties.
Well, I think,
They-
that-
they
yeah,
use-
the
they-
challenge lies on being too, so I mean, if you're gonna, well, if you're proposing to sort of doing any cutting or anything else like that, I mean, that requires a lot of
Yeah.
education and.
Yeah, yeah,
An explanation as far as what you're intending to do.
Yeah.
You know,
because I know, I have a friend that was a state forester, and he used to go out and give advice as part of his job to
Yeah.
towns. I think they don't do that anymore.
Oh, I'm sure that's been cut.
Yeah,
They don't. have
most
the
of the
same number of
departments have
forest-
a lot less.
Yeah, they don't have the same number of foresters or.
Staff, lot less staff than they had at one point.
I think, the items working with the water departments could also be scaled back to medium or even lower, because that's not us, and
Yeah,
it's not gonna happen.
Can you give
One-
me a number so I
The
can
one
just
time
go
we
to the
tried
right
that.
page?
For not Woodlawn, yeah, Woodlawn, there's nothing to walk on there, and, Merritt and Middletown wouldn't do that, I don't think, so. 7,
Oh, there it is. I found it. Thank you.
and then, you probably can take number 5 off too, Crystal Creek. That's pretty much, it is what it is, and it's done.
yeah,
Which one was that?
Number 5,
Yeah.
strategy 8.
Oh, yeah, I actually. But. Actually, I already made that note.
You can strike that.
I do think that, well, one of the important things about the things on the P O C D. And in the plan and in the implementation is that if. They're identified. And there, even if it's lofty because of who perhaps has the control, it's identified in the P O C D and we rely on that. Both for grant money as well as
Yeah.
for arguments to the powers that do have perhaps more, control over it or decision-making, on the item, if it's been identified and it's been supported as a high priority by something like the Conservation Commission in the instance of these items, then that holds weight when you go to the next agency in order to, advance it.
Grant you that.
And so sometimes they're a strategy that may or may not have an action that is immediately realistic. But it may become realistic if
Things change.
there's something changes, if
Okay.
there's a new funding, new legislation, new priority from others, or a parcel becomes available. So just
Yep.
keep that in mind that, cause I do feel like as I've worked with, obviously integral with the P O C D and all the goals of everyone. they're all competing goals at the same time, looking for the same, or to advance the product as a whole. Keeping in mind that it's about chunking, it's about just chipping away and
Yeah,
getting. Advancing what
Yes.
can be advanced and not being overwhelmed by it, even though it appears overwhelming, but you want to be comprehensive. It's a comprehensive document.
Yes, it is. But, thanks, Guy. Thank you, Lori. For keeping us in the right direction. Anything else? Karen?
I think that is no.
I did too.
I think she shook her head no. She shook her head. I saw her.
Sorry, I did just shake my head. I didn't say anything.
I got the point. So, motion?
I move that we adjourn.
Karen, you want a second?
I second it.
And all in favor of adjournment? So moved, thank you.
The time is 7:51. Good night, Karen. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
Bye. Have a great night.
You too.
Yep.